Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-parampara. Good. Be seated, please. Good. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saviryan Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhi Shanti 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 Om. Very good. Welcome to you all. Welcome also to our many students attending these classes online. We continue in our study of Chapter 18, this wonderful section towards the end. And we'll begin with recitation with verse 61. Good. And recording is okay? Very good. Thank you. We have a new system, just checking in on it. As always, when I'm chanting, please read the translation and then repeat after me. Ishvara sarva bhutanam, Ishvara sarva bhutanam, Hridesharjuna tishtati, Hridesharjuna tishtati, Brahmayan sarva bhutani, Brahmayan sarva bhutani, Yandraruddhani mayaya, Yandraruddhani mayaya. Oh, sorry, I pushed the wrong button. There we go. Tameva sharanam gaccha, Tameva sharanam gaccha, Sarva bhavena bharata, Sarva bhavena bharata, Tat prasadat param shantam, Tat prasadat param shantam, Sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam, Sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam, Iti te jnanamakhyatam, Iti te jnanamakhyatam, Guhyat guhyataram maya, Guhyat guhyataram maya, Vimrishyaitara sheshena, Vimrishyaitara sheshena, Yatechasi tata kuru, Yatechasi tata kuru, Sarva guhyatamam bhuyaha, Sarva guhyatamam bhuyaha, Shrunu me paramam vachaha, Shrunu me paramam vachaha, Ishtosi me dhridamati, Ishtosi me dhridamati, Tato vakshyami te hitam, Tato vakshyami te hitam, Manmana bhava madbhakto, Manmana mava madbhakto, Madhyaji mam namaskuru, Madhyaji mam namaskuru, Mame vaishyasi satyam te, Mame vaishyasi satyam te, Pratijane priyosi me, Pratijane priyosi me. Sarva dharman parityajya, sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayashyami ma shuchaha mokshayashyami ma shuchaha. Very good. We, in the last class, finished verse 61. And just to remind you, a common misunderstanding, it talks about Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, God of all beings, who hrideshe tishtati, who abides within. That God, Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani, Yantra Rudhani, Mayaya, makes all beings act according to his Maya, like yantra arudha, like as if they were attached to strings. And some people will misinterpret this verse to deny the existence of free will. Remember, any verse has to be understood in context. You can't just pluck verses out of the Bhagavad Gita and quote them. So look at the context in the very next verse, which is the first verse for today. Tameva sharanam gaccha. Gaccha is a command. O Arjuna, gaccha. Chalo, you would say. Sharanam chalo. Go for refuge. Tameva. Now tell me, if there's no such free will, no such thing as free will, why would Sri Krishna give this command to Arjuna if Arjuna was unable to act upon it? I'm just pointing out something that be very cautious of anyone who extracts verses out of context. It is so easy to give almost any meaning you want to the Bhagavad Gita just by this picking and choosing. They call it cherry picking. This cherry picking is a problem. Okay, so today we continue with this in this very profound part of the Bhagavad Gita, in which Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, you should seek refuge. We saw in our meditation session, Tameva sharanam gaccha. Go for refuge to that alone, referring to what was said in the prior verse, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam. So let's see this verse properly. Tameva sharanam gaccha, tameva sharanam gaccha, sarva bhavena bharata, sarva bhavena bharata, tat prasarat param shantim, tat prasarat param shantim, sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam, sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. Arjuna, in fact, in the end of the second line, Bharata, O greatest of India, O Arjuna, Gaccha, go. Go for what? Sharanam. You translate it as seek refuge. And what is a refuge you should seek? Tameva. That indeed is the refuge you should seek, referring to the prior verse, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, the God of the cosmos, who hrideshe, abides within tishtati. So, O Arjuna, seek that refuge, tameva, alone. And the significance, we also talked about this earlier, the significance is the focus is on within. This is so, in fact, it's really one of the unique traits of the devotional approach of Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. And that is, whenever he talks about bhakti, he talks about looking within. Isn't that significant? And it's a little counterintuitive, because when you think about bhakti in general, hey Bhagavan, you're the God of the cosmos who is out there. Well, and in fact, the God of the cosmos is. out there. Where is the God of the cosmos? Absent, after all. But the uniqueness here can be traced back to the teachings of the ancient rishis who said, who implied that the God of the cosmos pervades the universe, but the God of the cosmos is discovered here within. The God of the universe that pervades all is discovered within you. And this is, so important because it lifts this devotional teaching out of the realm of pure belief, andavishwasa, blind faith, and establishes it firmly in the realm of experience, anubhava. That which is outside. If God is out there someplace, I'm obviously not going to see that God looking through a telescope or any other means. So it means if God is only out there, that God is a matter of blind faith. And that God, by the way, is a God of the Bible and the God of many Puranic stories that talk about that Vishnu abiding in Vaikuntha Loka, etc., etc. So that is a remote God. That remote Ishvara is forever a matter of belief. But notice the orientation of Sri Krishna throughout the Bhagavad Gita is, yes, it's true, God is out there, but seek that Ishvara within, because it is within you, it is in your own experience that divinity can be personally discovered. Personally discovered, not believed, discovered. In this tradition, and especially in the tradition of Advaita Vedanta, Ishvara is not a matter of faith. Ishvara is a reality to be discovered. We start with faith. Absolutely, we must start with faith. If we didn't have faith, you wouldn't be sitting here today. You wouldn't make any effort to study the Bhagavad Gita. So we start with Shraddha. But Shraddha labhate jnanam, Sri Krishna says in the 4th chapter. Through faith, you arrive at jnanam, knowledge. Knowledge not in the sense of intellectual understanding, but knowledge in the sense of personal discovery. Now, let me do something a little unconventional. This is where generally most teachers will leave it, but we can take it one more step. I just said Ishvara is present in your experience, available for discovery. How? Let's address that. That's an important question. Ishvara is present here and now in your experience. Then why is it not recognized? The typical answer, of course, is the so-called veil of ignorance that covers Ishvara. Well, our job here is to remove that veil of ignorance, so let's answer that question. In what way is Ishvara present in your experience right this moment? Well, in your experience right this moment, you are present as consciousness. The consciousness that is the essence of who you are. The consciousness because you know what's happening in your mind. The consciousness by which you know what's happening around you. That consciousness is you in the most fundamental sense, in the most fundamental way. You are a conscious being. Being, you exist, and consciousness. Being, sat, and consciousness, chit. Sat, chit, ananda. So where does the ananda come in here? And that is, by the way, ananda, as we've discussed before, is not an experience of bliss. because we're not talking about an experience, we're talking about the experiencer, consciousness, right? Consciousness is not something you experience. Consciousness is the nature of the experiencer, the nature of you, your true nature. We use the word swarupa, your essential nature. Now, this consciousness, you've always recognized the presence of consciousness, as a conscious being, but you've taken it for granted. After all, it's with you all the time, and anything that's with you all the time, you tend to take for granted, right? Like your spouse. So, that's just human nature. Whatever is with us all the time, we don't think about it as being anything special. But the ancient rishis discovered that the consciousness that you think is so ordinary, they discovered that it is extraordinary. You think consciousness is stuck within your body, in your head. That's not what the ancient rishis discovered. You think that your consciousness is affected by everything that happens to you. You think that your consciousness gets happy and sad, gets depressed. Not according to the ancient rishis. So here's the point. The consciousness that's present in your experience right now, you happen to have a wrong conclusion about that consciousness. You think it's ordinary. The ancient rishis discovered it to be extraordinary. And here, Sri Krishna actually calls that consciousness Ishvara's presence within you. That's what he's teaching us. That consciousness that you think is ordinary is actually Ishvara's presence within you. It's having... What I just read something in this is somewhat related, loosely related, in London or someplace. Somebody was just walking down the street, and the I forget who, the king and queen of England or whoever they are, I don't know all this royalty stuff. They were standing on the road, and this couple walking down the road didn't recognize them, and just and just walked on by. Yeah, they're just people. Now, the point is that something special was present in their experience. By the way, did they not experience the king and queen? They saw. They saw, but they didn't recognize. The point of that silly story is to illustrate how something of extreme value can be present and unrecognized. That describes the nature of consciousness. That what we loosely call the divinity within is none other than your own consciousness. Okay, enough said. So, Arjuna, tameva sharanam gacha. You should seek that divinity within yourself. Tameva, that alone you should seek within yourself. Sarva bhavena, with all your bhava, with all aspects of your being. And here I would put a little twist on that. You should seek that sarva bhava through all spiritual practices, which means through the practice of jnana yoga, you should seek it within. Through the practice of bhakti yoga, you should seek it within. Through the practice of karma yoga, you should seek it within. Through the practice of meditation, dhyana yoga, you should seek it within. Sarva bhavena, in all manners, you should seek it within. We'll come back to this idea of these sadhanas in a few minutes. And then Sri Krishna continues, tat prasadat, with his blessings. Prasada here means blessings. With the blessings of that Ishvara that dwells within you, param shantim sthanam prapsyasi. Prapsyasi, Arjuna, you will gain param shantim, perfect peace. Param shantim, perfect peace. You will, the sthanam, place, hrideshe. This is the place of perfect peace. The place, where do you find perfect peace? Suppose you want perfect peace. Where should you go? In which room of your home will you find perfect peace? Maybe for a few minutes, absolutely. Where will you find perfect peace? In what location? You get the point. You'll only find perfect peace here within yourself. That is the sthanam. That is the shashvatam sthanam. Shashvatam, eternal, unborn, uncreated. When were you endowed with this divine nature? You get the point? That consciousness, which is your divine nature, was present before your conception. That consciousness, which is your true nature, will be unchanged when your body falls. Shashvatam, timeless, eternal. So that timeless, eternal place of perfect silence, prapsyasi, Arjuna, you will gain. How? Tat prasadat, with his blessings. Now, let's make sure we understand what are Ishvara's blessings. Ishvara is not, I've given you so many silly examples of this. Ishvara is not your relative in New Delhi who works for the government, who can who can make things go nicely for you. We have to get out of this kind of thinking. We drag Ishvara down to our level. So when we say Ishvara's blessings, it's not that Ishvara is like some, what is it, in some more Western kinds of mythology. They have the idea of these gods floating around in heavens, dropping this fairy dust on you. And by dropping this fairy dust on you, you become blessed. Come on. This is all very, very childish. Ishvara's blessings. First of all, the Ishvara we're talking about is this Ishvara, the Ishvara that is your true nature as Ch.18 Atma. That Ishvara will bless you. How? When you discover that Ishvara within you, you will be blessed. You'll be enlightened. You will be free from suffering. By discovering the Ishvara within you through your sadhana. And this leads to a very interesting observation, and that is blessings are gained through your sadhana, through your spiritual practice. If you just sit there, and just be silly right now, I'm sitting here waiting for Ishvara to bless me. Why should he bless me? I'm just sitting here like an idiot doing nothing. So if I pray, if I do some kind of spiritual or religious practice, then I become blessed. So in this context, so the point here is blessings come as a result of your spiritual and religious practice. And in this context, mat prasadat, due to the blessings of that Ishvara within you, those blessings are unlike any other kind of blessings. Imagine someone who there's some lottery right now which is over $600 million. I don't understand how that can even happen. But someplace in this country, there's a lottery, and the pot of that lottery is over $600 million. To win that lottery would be quite a blessing, right? But $6 million, tell me, if you win a $600 million, sorry, 6 million, nothing. You win a $600 million lottery, and you've got a splitting headache. Does all that money remove your suffering? This does. Ishvara's blessings are such that when you discover Ishvara's presence within you as your true nature, the headache won't bother you. It'll pound like anything, but it won't rob you of contentment and inner peace. It'll just be another feature of nature. And sometimes terrible features of nature are fascinating. As a child, I was fascinated by tornadoes. And whenever the weather was bad, I would go outside and watch for these tornadoes are terrible. They kill people. But I found it fascinating. My point is, an enlightened person with a terrible headache will be, wow, that's the worst headache I've ever had. Amazing. Chamatkar ki baat. It's something amazing. Honestly, that headache won't bother you. It'll pain, but that pain won't rob you of contentment and peace. $6 million won't, thank you. We're going to get the numbers right here. $600 million, and you'll still suffer with that headache. How much does this cost? Nothing. Okay. All right, let's continue. Iti te jnanamakyatam, iti te jnanamakyatam, guhyat guhyataram maya, vimrishyaitarasheshena, yate chasi tatha kuru. Iti, thus, te, unto you, Arjuna, jnanam akyatam. This jnanam, this spiritual wisdom, akyatam, has been told maya, by me. Unto you, Arjuna, this wisdom, this spiritual wisdom has been taught maya, by me. What kind of spiritual wisdom? Guhyat guhyataram. That which is more secret than the most secret. That which is most secret, that which is most hidden. And that which is most hidden, it's just nice to observe these teachings. That which is most hidden is what is present here, now, but unrecognized. The classic example that's given in all the texts is a woman who's looking all over the place for her necklace. It's hidden in the last place she'll look. By the way, whatever you're looking for will always be. Get it? Whatever you're looking for will always be in the last place you look, because after you find it, you just stop looking. Anyway, that's beside the point. The point here is that her necklace, she has assumed that she dropped the necklace someplace out there. And she will continue to look out there day after day after day. So the necklace is most wonderfully hidden. Guhyat guhyataram. Here we're talking not about a necklace, we're talking about consciousness. That inner divinity. And look at the irony here. People say, I'm searching for God. She's searching for her necklace. It's the same thing. She's searching for her necklace out there. She'll never find it. Someone who says, I'm searching for God, if they're searching for God in a church, in a synagogue, in a temple, if they're searching for God, they'll never find. Because that Ishvara hrideshe tishtati abides in your heart. If you're looking for Ishvara on the sacred altar, you're looking in the wrong place. It is hidden, we use this expression, hidden in plain view. Ishvara is hidden in plain view. In what sense? Are you conscious? Yeah. That consciousness is Ishvara, whether you recognize that reality or not. Hidden in plain view. Guhyat guhyataram. Then Sri Krishna says, so earlier he says iti. So iti is something you say when you're wrapping things up. So thus, therefore. Thus, there. My guru always would, therefore, and you know we're coming to the end. It would always be a big therefore. So this is, Sri Krishna is announcing that he's coming towards the end of his teachings. He doesn't stop quite yet, but he is coming towards the end. Iti, thus unto you, I've told you this most secret knowledge. And then he says, O Arjuna, vimrishya etat, this wisdom that I've imparted to you, vimrishya, having thought it over thoroughly, having reflected upon it, having understood it thoroughly, asheshena, completely, having thoroughly and completely understood what I have told you, then Arjuna tata, in the last line, then Arjuna, yata ichasi, as you desire, kuru, go ahead and do. Now, this statement is so significant when you put it in context. Remember, the context is, what is that? That's not this, is it? I wonder what that is. Or the fan? Anyway, we'll figure that out. The context is, Arjuna's conflicted. Should I fight the war? Should I not fight the war? Arjuna knows it's his sacred responsibility to fight the war, to uphold Dharma, for all the reasons we've discussed right from the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. But here, in response to Arjuna's conflict, Sri Krishna says again and again, O Arjuna, uttishta, get up, Arjuna, yuddhaya, get up and fight. Uttishta, bharata, get up and fight. Sri Krishna has told Arjuna that at least 4 or 5 times in the prior part of the Bhagavad Gita. So here, as we're coming to the very end of the Bhagavad Gita, what do you imagine would be Sri Krishna's final advice? Right? You would presume that one more time, okay, Arjuna, we're done talking, now get up and fight. That would be the most reasonable conclusion to assume, and that's absolutely not what happens. This is so significant. Sri Krishna does not conclude by telling Arjuna to get up and fight. He concludes by saying, do whatever you want. Yata ichasi, according to your desires, tata kuru, in that way go ahead and do it. Do whatever you want. Now, first of all, Sri Krishna can say this with confidence because he knows that Arjuna has understood everything properly. Sri Krishna has no doubt that Arjuna will make the right decision. Sri Krishna is wise in that way. So without doubt, Sri Krishna knows. But there's a deeper meaning here. Sri Krishna is in the role of teacher, the role of guru. The role of a teacher is to teach. I'm going to say something that's very obvious that maybe you haven't thought about. The role of a teacher is to teach you. The role of a teacher is not to tell you what to do. Now, sorry for I'm going to be on a little rant. I'm just warning you. A little rant is coming right now. In the Hindu tradition, there are so many gurus who tell you what to do. Do this, don't do that. Don't eat meat. Don't do this, don't do that. They tell you what to do. A teacher's role is not to tell you what to do. A teacher's role is to teach you. By the way, when that teacher starts telling you what to do, most of the time it's with good intentions. Occasionally it leads to some cultism, cultish behaviors where the guru will exercise his power over the disciples, leads to all kinds of terrible consequences. Those consequences, by the way, could there be any cultism if a guru didn't say what you should do? So telling you what to do opens the door to that cultish behavior that happens in some groups. The role of a guru is not to tell you what to do. Notice in all of our classes, when have I told you, not that I'm a special teacher, but just to give as an example, when have I told you not to eat meat? Never. We've discussed the fact that the principle of dharma is based on ahimsa, doing the least harm. If you eat animals, you cause more harm. If you avoid eating animals, you cause less harm. That's all it is. We've had that discussion many times. But why? Having had that discussion, where's the necessity of saying don't eat? In fact, after having that discussion, if I say, therefore don't eat meat, aren't I dumbing you down? I'm like as if you didn't understand what I just said. You understand. Not only that, but you're mature adults. You can make your own decisions. Who am I to run your lives? And that happens. That happens. So, let me give you the counterexample. I think the greatest counterexample is my guru, Puja Swami Tadatmananda. During our 3-year-long residential Vedanta course, there were several problems that would creep up. You know, you have 60, 70 students living together, problems come up. And then students would go to Swamiji and complain about these problems, and they would ask Puja Swamiji, please make a rule to prevent this problem from occurring. Guess what? There would be no such rule, but you could be sure that in the next class, he'd talk about the problem. So he would address the problems through teaching and not through being directive. That's a true teacher. A teacher who leads his students through teaching and not through being directive. Puja Swamiji was, to me, the least directive. What was that? I told someone once, just to illustrate how he didn't want to manipulate people's lives, I made up a story. I told someone once, if I asked Puja, if I told Puja Swamiji I'm going to jump off a bridge, he wouldn't try to stop me. Yeah, have a good time. The point is not being directive. He might teach me the consequences of, have you ever thought that jumping off a bridge might have some negative consequences? He would definitely teach the consequences. Anyway, let me point out one other application of this principle which you might find very helpful, especially those of you with grown children. When your children are young, parents must be directive. That's what works for children. You can't, if a 2-year-old is running towards the road, you can't teach the child that automobiles weigh several thousands of pounds and your body will not withstand the impact and weight of that car. So teaching a 2-year-old doesn't work. You have to be directive. You grab that child, don't you ever run towards the road. That's the way you handle a 2-year-old. Parents must be highly directive with young children. Problem comes when your children are 14, 15, 16, 20, 22, 25, 30, 40. And parents continue to be directive with their grown children. What is going on? That's a good strategy when they're little. When they're grown, parents should be advisors, guides to their children, not the one saying, don't do that. Don't do that is for children, little children, not for a 22-year-old child. This doesn't work. You know that. You've seen how badly it goes, and you've also discovered that that in India years ago, when you were 22 years old, those of you raised in India, your parents could get away with that when you were 22. You've discovered it doesn't work here. Things that your parents could get away with in India doesn't work here. With grown children, being highly directive doesn't work. And what a great role model we have here in Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna taught Arjuna thoroughly and then said, whatever you do is fine. Wouldn't that be what a mature parent does? A mature parent, a wise parent, is one who will teach the children thoroughly, and teach in a sense of, with your adult children, you discuss consequences. You have much more worldly wisdom than your grown children, so you can understand better the consequences of their actions. So you discuss with your grown children what are the possible consequences, and having thoroughly discussed the consequences, how do you conclude? Yatha itchasi tata kuru. That's best. That works. After all, if your just to end this conversation, we'll go on to the next verse. If your conversation ends with don't do it, they're going to do it anyway. And therefore, you have more conflict in the family. What kind of strategy is that? It's a terrible strategy. Parents and this is hard, and I know it's hard. I've not been a parent, so I don't, I've not gone through that struggle and difficulty, but I think one of the hardest things for any parent has to be to accept a decision made by your adult children, a decision that you don't agree with. You have no choice. If they decide to marry someone you don't approve of, if they decide to take some career path you don't approve of, if you fail to come to terms with their decision, how is that helping? Will your refusal to agree change your children's behavior? No, they're going to do it anyway, most of the time. So your refusal to accept the reality of the situation, the only outcome is more conflict in the family. Anyway, enough said. Well, you can see Sri Krishna here one more time. Brilliant role model. Teach and then let go. Let go. Don't manipulate. Okay, enough said. Next. Sarva guhyatamam bhuyaha Shunu me paramam vachaha Shunu me paramam vach Ishtosi me dhridamati Ishtosi me dhridamati Tato vakshyami te hitam Tato vakshyami te hitam. So he says now, bhuyaha. One more time, shunu me, listen to me. As I teach this, paramam vachaha, listen to my highest wisdom, which is sarva guhyatamam, which is the most secret of all, bhuyaha. Once again. It's interesting. The prior verse, iti. So you got the sense that he's winding up. But now, I think any teacher does that. I certainly do it a lot. By the way, right, that kind of segue into one more topic. So Sri Krishna does this. Why? Out of compassion, right? It's purely out of compassion. So out of compassion, Sri Krishna says, O Arjuna, one more time. Listen to this highest teaching. Why? Ishtosi me dhridam iti. Me ishtaha, me dhrida. Dhridam is an adverb here. Me ishtahasi, dhridam asi. You are loved by me. Literally, you could translate, you are my favorite. Now, please understand that Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, you've heard me make this comment before. Sri Krishna sometimes speaks as Arjuna's charioteer. Sri Krishna sometimes speaks as an avatara of Lord Vishnu. Sri Krishna sometimes speaks as Ishvara himself. So whenever Sri Krishna speaks, we have to understand which Sri Krishna is speaking. And here, the one who's speaking is Sri Krishna's, what is it, BFF? Is that the word they use? Sri Krishna's, Arjuna's best friend forever. So they BFF, that's what young people will use. If you're not familiar with that, anyway. So Sri Krishna, they were best friends. They hung out together and all of this. So Sri Krishna here is not speaking on any other level except as Arjuna's dear friend. He says, you are dear to me, you are special to me. Tataha, therefore, vakshyami, I will say once again, te hitam, what will help you, what is beneficial for you. And what does he say? This next verse is arguably one of the most important in the Bhagavad Gita. Puja Swami Tadatmananda would actually use this verse for a 1-week series of public talks. All he needed was just one verse. He'd go on talking about it for a week. He could go on talking about it for a month or a year. Let's see the verse. We may not finish it today, but we'll start. Manmana bhava mad bhakto, manmana bhava mad bhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru, madhyaji mam namaskuru, mame vaishyasi satyam te, mame vaishyasi satyam te, pratijane priyosi me, pratijane priyosi me. Actually, we can understand this pretty easily. Manmana bhava. O Arjuna, bhava. You should be. You should remain. How? With your manas, with your mind, fixed on me. That man and mud that you see is this pronoun form of I, this form of I that comes into these compounds. So Arjuna, you should remain with your mind fixed on me. How do you fix your mind on me? Sri Krishna now is referring to his presence within you as that inner divinity. So to have your attention fixed on Ishvara is to practice dhyana, meditation. Meditate on Ishvara's presence within you. But not only that, in our previous class I spoke about how Sri Krishna constantly blurs the boundaries between bhakti, jnana, karma, and dhyana, meditation. In modern times, people take them as 4 individual practices. Sri Krishna definitely doesn't. He considers them all part of one spiritual package, so to speak, of sadhana, of spiritual practice. So when he says, manmana bhava, fix your mind on me, he's referring both to the practice of meditation, dhyana, and he's referring to the practice of bhakti. You worship Ishvara, that Ishvara who's present within you. By recognizing that inner divinity, Ishvara is worshipped. So, and then madbhaktaha, be devoted to me. Again, it's the Ishvara within. Be devoted to me obviously implies bhakti, devotion, but you have to know that Ishvara dwells within you. So jnanam comes in, spiritual wisdom comes in. You can't separate dhyana, meditation, and bhakti, devotion. We can't separate bhakti, devotion, from jnana, spiritual wisdom. And in the next line, madhyaji, worship to me. Now, first thing that will come to your mind is bhakti, but worship me means follow dharma, do what I want you to do. Follow dharma is now karma yoga. So now karma yoga is dragged in. Sri Krishna implies there's no division between bhakti yoga and karma yoga, and finally he says, "Mam namaskuru." Namaskuru, bow down. Bow down, mam, bow down to me. Where? Wherever he is, which means everywhere. In many Hindu weddings, it ends with the newly married couple doing namaskaram, touching the feet of everyone who's older than them, which is most of the audience. So they end up bowing down pretty much to everyone. What a wonderful tradition that acknowledges that Ishvara is present in every single one of us. And just to point out something you already know, when we greet each other namaste, we use a prayerful greeting to acknowledge the divinity of the other person. That's what it means. Namahate. Salutations unto you. Salutations is namaha is a word we use to praise Ishvara. Namaste. Salutations to you. Recognizing Ishvara's presence in any and all beings. I don't need to tell you how much the world would be transformed if this recognition were more clear. People, we have entered a period of cultural history where it seems to be acceptable to treat people badly. I don't get that. 20 years ago, it was not like that. Today it is. It's become acceptable to say, you're a communist, or you're this, or you're that, to use these harsh words, accusations. This harshness. How to be harsh if you recognize the essential divinity of that person? We can only hope and pray that this understanding will become more widespread. But Sri Krishna says to Arjuna that if you practice bhakti, jnana, dhyana, and karma yoga, all four, we've had this discussion before, we won't go back to that, you don't get to pick and choose. You need all four of these practices. Through the performance of all four of these practices, Sri Krishna concludes, Satyam, definitely, absolutely true it is that Mam eva eshyasi, you will reach Mam eva, you will reach me, without doubt. There's a little joke here, not much. Bhagavad Gita is not known for its jokes, but but we can find some little ones here. So Sri Krishna says, you will absolutely, definitely reach me. Why? Why am I so certain? He says, Te pratijane. I promise you this. Priyosi me, because you are dear to me. I promise you that you will definitely reach me. Now, Sri Krishna already knows that he dwells within all as that inner divinity, as Satchidananda Atma. Sri Krishna already knows that he's there. And then he says, I promise that you'll reach me. That's like saying, I promise you that the sun will go up tomorrow morning. It's kind of an obvious thing, but Sri Krishna assures Arjuna at this point. Pratijane, I promise you, I assure you, and it's kind of a funny promise, like promising that the sun will go up tomorrow morning. It is a statement of an already existent truth. And that already existent truth is that your true nature, the true nature of every human being, is already divine. Sri Krishna is already present within you, and that inner divinity is the source of all blessings. Therefore, these four sadhanas we spoke of before are meant to help you go within for the sake of receiving Ishvara's blessings. By discovering your own divinity, you are blessed. Okay, and this is a good place to conclude today. Quick announcement, tomorrow we have satsang at 6 p.m., informal question answer. If the weather is nice, we'll sit out in the picnic area. Otherwise, we'll sit inside. We'll conclude with our brief prayers at the altar. Gananahantva Ganapatigam Avamahe Kaving Gavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatahana Shrinvan Uttabasira Sadhanam Om Mahaganapataye Namaha Ishvaro Gururhatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhaveta Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat